Oh my gosh. So TAG just filed another motion for summary judgment. As authorized by the court during the conference on April 2nd, 2026, defendant, the agency group PR LLC, TAG, submits this memorandum of law in support of TAG's motion for summary judgment on plaintiff Blake Lively's seventh cause of action for aiding and abetting of retaliation in violation of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act, FEHA. Lively's attempt to impose liability against TAG under FEHA suffers from a fatal flaw. FEHA liability has historically been applied only in scenarios that involve employment-related activities such as hiring, compensation, and workplace standards. As discussed further below, the crux of the claim under FEHA is the employer-employee relationship. Both the language of FEHA itself, as well as the cases that have evaluated who is liable under FEHA, either directly or as an aider and abetter, establish that FEHA's purpose is to protect employees who are the subject of discrimination, harassment, or retaliation connected with their employment relationship. By contrast, TAG is a public relations firm retained by defendant Wayfarer Studios LLC to protect its reputation and that of its co-founder Justin Baldoni and that of the film It Ends With Us, in which it had invested millions of dollars. TAG was not involved in Lively's hiring, compensation, workplace standards, or any other employment-related matters. Based upon the precedents discussed herein, TAG cannot be liable under FEHA because its role with respect to the issues herein was entirely separate from the employer-employee relationship. It would be especially harmful for at least two public policy reasons to hold TAG potentially liable under FEHA. First, liability for retaliation under FEHA has historically been restricted to activities involving the employer-employee relationship, therefore permitting a claim to proceed against TAG involving a FEHA violation would be fundamentally unfair. More importantly, such a decision would set a new precedent that an entity completely outside of the employer-employee relationship could face future liability for retaliation under FEHA. This would have an understandably chilling effect on not only public relations firms, but also any other company that renders services for an employer. For good reason, companies would be reluctant to provide services that could somehow be held to adversely affect one or more of the employer's employees and potentially lead to liability against companies under FEHA. Finally, Lively's effort to impose backdoor liability via an aiding and abetting claim against TAG with such a liability cannot attach directly should be also rejected. As discussed below, the case examinants aiding and abetting of a FEHA violation are similarly confined to the employer-employee context. Courts do not deviate from the employer-employee relationship when it comes to imposing aiding and abetting liability under FEHA. For all of these reasons, TAG's motion for summary judgment on the seventh cause of action for aiding and abetting retaliation in violation of FEHA should be granted. I love this for Blake Lively. This is, who was it? I think it was Little Girl Attorney, who had an excellent video about this and gave like a really good explanation and an example. And I knew from that moment, I was like, oh, holy cow, this is hanging by a thread. And that thread is about to be cut loose. And she's not going to have TAG anymore to blame. This is why I told you that on Puck News, that article, all of a sudden, 2 days ago, the blame started to shift. And now it's like, blame the publicist, blame like Stephanie Jones. On the allegation that she knowingly fed Lively's team a false narrative, the judge has allowed a defamation claim to proceed. Stephanie Jones is toast because she's it. She's next. Blake has no one else to blame. No one else. Like Baldoni's not even a defendant on the freaking lawsuit. And TAG's about to be dismissed. Stephanie Jones, buckle up, girl.